The next photo I'd like to edit is this sunrise shot from Leuty Beach. So it's selected, so we'll hit D to go to develop and R to crop. And I think the first thing I'd like to do is straighten this light standard. So there with the angle adjustment tool over here, selected it, and just drawn a line on the light standard to make it vertical. I think we have a little more foreground than I need. Let's release it so that we can move just the bottom line. Let's see how that looks. That's okay. So next, we'd like to darken the sky a little bit, perhaps even overall just drop the exposure a little. Let's try that. And that's bringing out some detail here in the clouds. And we'll adjust the temperature and warm it up a little bit and make it emphasize that orangey red a little more. And so now we'll select the gradient tool and add a gradient. Top down, hold the shift key so it doesn't, so it stays vertical. And we'll pull it right down to the horizon. We'll move these lines a little closer together. Maybe about like that. And it's actually selected contrast, and we can use a little of that, so that's fine, but I want to drop the exposure on that, on the top part of this picture. Let's try that. And we can also add a color, so let's pick a color. I could, if I hold the, if I click on this eyedropper inside of the box here and go into the image, it will try and choose that color. So let's try that. That might be just a little too orange. So something about like that. And we could stand even a little more of the effect over here on the left. So let's brush on a little bit more. Feather 20, flow. Let's drop the flow and the density down to 60%. And we'll select a little more feathering. Hold the shift key and then hit the right bracket key and left bracket to make the brush a little smaller. And we'll just brush it on a little over here on the left. I think it could stand even a little more. Okay, let's go with that. And also, while we're here, we've darkened this lifeguard station quite a bit. So let's let's brush a little on it to brighten it up. And we'll just zoom in on it. And I don't need quite so much feathering on this, so again, Shift and the bracket key to move the amount of feathering. And we want, let's put let's select exposure, and we need close to a stop. Let's try that. We'll just brush all over the lifeguard station here just to brighten it up a little. A smaller brush. Oops. I'm not being too careful around these edges, but you'll get the idea. And let's say no feathering. And a smaller brush. Just to get right out here at the edges. So we'll go with that for now. And I should erase it a little bit down the bottom there where I've gone over. And along these edges. So there, I think exposure's okay, but I'd like it a little warmer. So we'll give it a little more warmth with the temperature slider. And I think that'll do. Hide the pins. Yeah, that's okay. Now it's still pretty bright over there on the left, so let's try and pull the highlights down a little bit. And while we're at it, we'll go to the HSL panel. This is the HSL panel. And adjust the luminance on the reds, so we'll darken the reds and the oranges a little, and just a little, say minus 15 or so, minus 17. And increase their saturation a little. And not too much, just let's say around 20% or plus 20. And overall in the image, I think we could add some clarity, some mid-tone sharpening and contrast, and maybe a little bit of vibrance. And if we wanted, and if I think I will, I'll just brush on a little more contrast in the sky. And a little feathering. Just to bring out these clouds. Okay, let's go with that. And while we're here, let's go back to this brush, and we'll even increase that exposure a little more. And it's already pretty warm. Okay. So not much more. I should have done these two things in the beginning. Remove chromatic aberration and enable profile correction for the lens. Because it's a wide angle lens, there will be some distortion. So let's try and remove a bit of that. And then a little bit of sharpening. So again, masking. So what's 50 points, 60 points of masking gives us? That's what's going to be sharpened. I don't want too much on the snow or the water. And then we'll just add some sharpening. And even though hopefully it's only doing the edges of the clouds here, so. I think that's plenty. And even though it's quite dark, or there are dark parts of this image, I'll give it a vignette. That's good. Okay, let's see if we can see before and after. There's before. And there's after. Before and after. Okay, and G to go back to the grid view in the library.